Hey, it's Kim. Thank you for stopping by my channel today. Today we are going to be doing a flip of my planner for the month of January. Well, the completed month of January. So, because this is a new to me planner and it's the Sterling Ink Common Planner in the Traveler's Notebook size, so that's standard TN. I started out the year a little unsure of how I'd like the layouts, how they would work out, how I could kind of transition my already existing system into this planner. So I've been trying out a few things throughout the month, and that's what I'm going to walk you through today. And I mean, to start off, it's not much different than the planner that I have been using for 2022 and 2023. Just very slight differences, and I do go over all of that in a previous video that I'll have linked down below. But I thought flipping through at least this first month would kind of give some insight on how I'm using the spreads, how they're coming together, and how I'm liking it. So let's get started. And I think first things first, I will address this cover. So this cover is new. We've never had a formal, like, full video or anything on it. I did provide some explanation about, what it is. It's a custom planner cover from Vanderspect, and that's vdsshop.com, and it's in their Nomad model, which is for the Traveler's Notebook and a standard size. And the outside leather is Nubuck Ecume, E-C-U-M-E. The inside leather is Janet Leather Velvet Undyed. So those are the specs. It's holding up extremely well. I'm not very precious with my planners or anything. Of course, I'm not touching it with like grease or oil all over my hands, but I don't have any discernible like marks or dirt or anything like that going on. So it's holding up extremely well, which is what Vanderspect did say. It's a very durable leather, even though it doesn't quite feel like it. Like it feels like a suede, so you would think you would have to be a lot more careful with it. But either way, I'm not a super careful planner person. Like, I buy them to love them. So I want to love them and hug them and touch them all the time. So anyway, it's holding up extremely well. I have had it for, I think, 2 months. I don't really keep track of dates, even though we're only into like January or the end of January of 2024. 2, maybe 3 months? I can't remember. So that is for all of the questions that I've had about this cover. Also, it's very hard to capture the color on screens, whether it's like a mobile device, in photos or in videos. So it could look different to everyone viewing it. But it's a green, kind of like a sage type of green with a little bit of a bluish undertone, and it's absolutely beautiful. I think you can see that. All right, getting into the actual planner, and I do already have my things from the February subscription kit already in here because today is February 1st, so I've already set up for February. If you want to see my whole setup video, I will have that linked down below or up in the cards, and you can see that on my channel. I believe it is the last video you would have seen, or the last video I would have posted before this video if you are interested. All right, so getting into it, I'm not going to go through the first like pages in the setup and all of that. That is in the 2024 setup video. We're just going to go through all of the January pages. So starting with the monthly layout is pretty straightforward, and I did not, throughout the course of the month, come up with a use for this column over here. I don't typically have month-specific task lists or anything that I would put here, so I knew that I likely would not really be using this column. I'm still not. I can't imagine that I would want to even add deco here necessarily. I think maybe if I had some things going on this like Monday, I would be okay with allowing the deco to kind of spill over into this column, but I doubt I'll be using this to write anything. So the way I'm using my monthly layout is pretty standard and straightforward. I do mark certain days where I'm doing certain things. So for instance, a couple of days out of the week where I intend to film couple of days I intend to edit so that I can work that around my actual work schedule or just, you know, general life schedule. I like to plan that ahead of time. And then I have a few appointments also strewn throughout the month, as well as a few notes. And I used a contrasting color ink. It's not, well, that's the problem. It's not contrasting. It looks really blue here. So it really doesn't stand out from everything else. That's okay. You know, it looks good. But my intention usually for the monthly is to write any of those items that I want to stand out in a different color ink so that it draws the eye a little bit better. So that's something I would do differently going forward. Use a more contrasting ink. So that's the monthly layout for January. And then getting into the weeklies, I did not set these up on camera, I don't think. Or did I just do the first weekly? I can't entirely remember how it all went down. But here's the first weekly for January. And again, it has this extra column on the left hand side that I'm not usually used to using in my previous setups or my previous planners. So I have had to come up with, I guess, slightly more creative ways to use it or to fill it in, or if I was going to leave it blank. And that's sort of what I've done throughout the course of the month. So something that I've gotten into a little bit more this year, or at the start of this year, is using my stamps. I haven't been using them a lot lately, and I wanted to get back into that to sort of, you know, put my own little spin, my own little touches on everything that I have in my planner to make it more mine, or more, you know, customized and special. So I did that here for the first, noting that it's 2024, and yeah, that's the only stamp on this page. But my weekly filled up just the way it usually does. The only thing different I did put like a currently type of category over here on the left, and I have a section for reading, watching, and learning. And it's primarily because I wanted to fill in the space. I did in the past used to have this information down at the bottom, like in one of these columns. There's nothing under this, FYI, but down at the bottom in these columns. And then I kind of got away from it, and I decided, well, I'll bring it back to just fill in this space here. And that's what I did for the week. There's nothing special, nothing spectacular. I did the same thing for the second week. However, well, with the currently, I moved it down to the bottom, and I added more deco up at the top. And I had started stamping the week number because I noticed that the week numbers are listed here, and you probably can't even see that in the calendar, on the camera, because it is so faint and it's super light and super tiny. And I mean, my eyes I just can't see it easily. So I started stamping the week number, and I do like that, and it's something that I am going to carry forward throughout the planner. I mean, I actually have 20/20 vision, and I still have trouble seeing what week that says, or the fact that it says the week. And I have grown accustomed to viewing my time in my planners based on week numbers. So that has become an important feature for me, whereas a couple of years ago I didn't care what week number we were in. So you'll see that I started doing that like week 3. I stamped here, added a bit more deco, and I have a lot of just page flags, or not page flags, what do you call them? Sticky notes throughout my planner. Just things that are week specific, or sticky notes that I use that came up throughout the week. And it's really not things that I need to keep. I honestly just like the way it looks after, like, I'm flipping through it. It looks like a lived-in planner. Looks like I had some things going on. Like this week I just had the dinners that I was thinking about doing for the week before, you know, those days even got here. Here I wanted to put a picture using one of my thermal printers because I was supposed to be going somewhere, and I wanted to take a picture of the event, like in a black and white, and memorialize it here inside of my planner. Didn't get a chance to do that, but this was a sticky note to remind me to do that. Didn't happen, so that's okay. And now I'm gonna move this page flag back to my monthly, actually, to remind me to schedule that someplace else. So the layout is still the same. I'm using my timetable type of layout in the middle. Up at the top, I have day-specific tasks that I want to get done. This highlighted section up at the top is my workouts, and then the timetable for any meetings or appointments throughout the day. And then this highlighted section down below is for the dinners that we have. And I have below that my task list, my cleaning list. And I moved the currently section back over to the left for week 3. Week 4, I didn't even have the currently section. And actually, okay, so I remember this week very clearly. I mean, it was just last week, but I remember being slightly annoyed, and that is because I had gotten so used to setting up my weeks previously, like during my whole monthly setup, so that by the time like Sunday night came around and it was time to, I guess, put my appointments in order for the coming week, the layout was already here. On Sunday night, I didn't have that because my plan for January was to just kind of go as time went. Like as the week approached, I would set up a new weekly. So I did do that, but I was busy, and then I was annoyed that I didn't already have like the week number stamped. I didn't already have any deco out. You can tell I only used the stickers from this Sterling Ink subscription kit. I had no washi because it was like probably like 8 p.m. and I was sitting down watching television, and this is all that I had with me, and I just threw down some markers and some stickers. So that's another thing that reminded me I most prefer to have my weeks laid out beforehand. Now I am doing this project that I am documenting via film, which I will be sharing on my channel, but all about some weekly layouts, like different weekly layouts that I am testing. So I did go ahead and put those together in my planner already. I'm not going to show you yet. However, this is the first week of February. It's actually like the last 3 days of January, first 4 days of February, and we are here. So this is clearly the same layout that I've been doing, my whole timetable layout that I'm used to. So that's what that looks like. But the weeks coming up, I do have them sort of laid out and set up for me. And that is one thing that I realized bothered me, that I didn't have it already set up beforehand. So here's my January tracker, and it's the same as the trackers were previously. However, instead of putting them back in my notes pages along with those monthly collection pages, I decided to kind of set aside some of the notes pages in the beginning of that section for all of the trackers, so that I can have them all together side by side, and I'll be able to look through them and notice any trends or anything as the year goes on. So I like this idea. Of course I did it. Of course I like it. But one thing I noticed, for whatever reason, this did not bother me when I had my tracker in the collection pages. I always had to turn the book, which is fine. It was on this side. No, the side of the page. And, you know, tracking, put my little tick marks or check marks if I was checking off a habit in the tracker. But for whatever reason, I have felt like it's bothered me this time to have to turn the book every time. So I don't know what that's all about. I have no idea what that's all about. But I got up until the 22nd turning the book, and then from the 23rd, I guess, on to the 31st, I left the book this way and did my check marks that way. Now I knew it would bother me, the fact that I have the check marks going one direction for this section and another direction for this section, but I'm over it. It's whatever. I just didn't feel like turning the book. And I also do not like the check marks facing this direction. So for February, we're switching back to dots. I tend to do this anyway. I'll switch between dots or check marks or little slashes through the box. So I'm pretty sure it will evolve, and I'll land on something that is most preferred for the moment, and then I'll change it again. But going forward, I have made a note to myself not to use any type of signifier for which I need to turn the book. So I think it'll work easily for the most part for me. So I do already have February set up, and I put in a few things for today already. Again, today is just the 1st, so we got some time. All right, now getting into my collection pages for January. So I decided to add that fourth section on what I'm calling my monthly dashboard as a project. So I'm noting here the project that I'm working on for the month. I also did fill in some for the monthly focus. I had space for 3 things. I only filled in 2. And then I had a space for watching, reading, learning, along with that project section, as well as some upcoming dates or events that were happening. Honestly, I never really flipped back to this page throughout the month, not much. I feel like once things are written here, I don't really have to flip back to them unless I'm adding to it. So if I'm adding another project for the month, or I'm adding another book or anything. So it's just, I think, serving its purpose as a pretty landing spot in my planner, and that's okay with me. That's absolutely okay with me. I do still really like the way it looks. And then on the right hand side is my 1 line a day, which I do visit every day. Sometimes I might miss a day and I have to like backfill, but I do visit every day, and I write down some kind of thing for the day. It's not all highlights. Sometimes there might be some lowlights. Sometimes it's just blah, blah, blah. And literally I'm writing blah, blah, blah. So whatever I feel inclined to write for that day. Now, getting into my daily pages, my dailies are set up generally the same as they always have been. However, you may notice that I am incorporating a lot more of the stamps. Like I mentioned back when I flipped through my weekly pages, and I started that off strong. I stamped out 2024 up here. These are the Max Outline stamps by Carrie Bradford, if anyone is interested. And I'm still sticking with this 2-column kind of setup. When I first started testing it out towards the end of 2023, I would do tasks and like micro journaling, and it didn't matter which side, so it would go back and forth. That led to great annoyance for me. So I had since, maybe like November, December, switched to just doing tasks on the left, journaling on the right. And I'll go back and forth between journaling in print or journaling in script. Doesn't really matter. Also, I'll add in like notes to myself throughout the pages, and then make sure that I'm adding some of the stickers from the Sterling Ink subscription kit. So here you can see 2 examples of where I use my stamps just to add a little bit of flair, a little bit of pizzazz to the pages. And then I have my week review, still the same week review I've been doing. And the questions that I ask myself are: what worked, what didn't work, my favorite moment, how can I make next week better, and a summary for the week. This weekly review is working extremely well for me. I don't feel like I need to change it. I don't feel like I want to change it. So it's going to stay those same questions. And actually those questions are extremely helpful even when I'm assessing like how a month went or how a goal focus area went. Those same questions do apply. So feel free to use those for yourself if you want to. So here's another layout or collection or spread or whatever you want to call it that I decided to add to my planner. So on this sticky note, clearly I am planning to order another Nomad from VDS, but on this sticky note I have some details about what I want to be included in that custom order, but I went ahead and added some stamps on the page. I think this one says adding to my stationery stash. This one says all the journals, and then a little stamp of a traveler's notebook. Looks like an A5 notebook, and then what looks like a week's size notebook. That's probably B6. Anyway, so I'm going to fill in all of the details that I have about the custom planner that I would like to order, just to memorialize it. I think I've done that for every single custom that I've ordered. Somewhere in my notes there's a pretty page talking all about, you know, what I want and what I plan to add to it. Who knows when that's going to happen, but we'll see. Once it happens, once I'm ready, once the budget says go, I'll be ready to go. I'll know all the features and everything that I want to include. So we still have even more stickers and stamping and some notes to myself. Like I was editing a video here and I just have some notes about where I wanted to put what. So pretty much anything goes on the page as I'm moving through the month. Like my planner stays open on that day, and if things are coming up and I have no place else to write something, like no other book or journal or, you know, wherever it belongs, I will put it in here. I do have a task manager. That's what I'm calling it. So it's just a task list, like a running task list. This will last until this page is filled up, or I just get sick of it. So it's not month specific. It's not just for January, and like in February I'm not gonna like just rewrite all of these things and then get ticked off. It's just like a running task manager, and it lives in perpetuity until I get sick of it. And I do have this little page flag tab type thingy indicating where I can flip to it. So I don't typically like side tabs, so when I do put them on the side, I only let them hang out a very tiny bit so I know where to find them, if you were wondering. Here's a weekly review for week 2, and then some other notes to self, some stamping. This page, I decided to leave it pretty bare, and that's okay for me. And I feel like clearly there was something going on at the end of the week, right? Like I left this bare. My summary for the week was also bare. It says, "Oh, what a week." That's it. That's all I got. That's what I wrote. So clearly I was just over this week. And then we moved into the next week. And then here we are at the end of January. Have some notes here. Oh, well, here's the very end of January. So the week 4 review, the first few days of this week, and then yesterday, which was the last day of this week. And then we get into, oh, so something I've been doing at the end of every month is like a recap or journal spread. I actually have a video all about how I set this up, which I'll be going over with you in a video coming up. It should be the next video. So the video after this one. I'll show all of how I set up that January journaling spread, which is there. And then we go right into February. So there is how I'm using the Sterling Ink Common Planner so far, how I've kind of adjusted my already perfected for me system into this new planner. It's the same size, like I said, just a few variations in the layout that I've had to get used to, and I'm still getting used to. This, I don't know if I'll continue to do monthly flips. Actually, you can leave it down in the comments. Would you like a monthly flip every month? I don't know. I don't know if you would like it. If you like it, I'll do it. But I don't know if it's helpful. I feel like for me as a viewer, it would be helpful because I get to see how people use their pages. It's different when you see them setting them up, but after it's all filled in, I feel like that's where the magic happens. That's like the good part. So that's why I do like to do these flips, to show how I'm actually using the planner, the spreads, the pages, and also to show that you can do this with any planner. I feel like planner sizes are very personal, right? So if you don't like this size, you don't like to write in this size, pick another size, but then you can use some of the same functional details that someone else uses and just tailor it to the size that you prefer. So anyway, that's my long drawn out spiel. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you for watching. I truly do appreciate you. I'll link anything I mentioned down in the description box, and if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments as well. I would greatly appreciate it if you like this video, if you can give me a thumbs up, and if you're new around here and kind of like all the content that we're sharing, I would appreciate it if you would subscribe as well. Again, thank you so much for watching today's video, and I'll see you in the next one.